Chapter 9 Sister, wait up for me. Malachi leaves out the classroom and catch up with Dixie and Hart. Slow down, Roadrunner, said Dixie. Thanks for doing my work. Dixie looks back at Malachi. I had to do 30 worksheets. Plus, it wasn't hard. All of them just had one question, said Malachi. What was the one question? Said Dixie. Who do you look up to? Said Malachi. Of course. My dad. My mom. Sort of, said Dixie. Dad is dead. So all I got is my mom to look up to now, said Dixie. Hart looks at Dixie sad. Hart looks at her bracelet her father gave her. What about you? Dixie said to Hart. Both, said Hart. Really? Said Dixie, curious. Yeah, father died too. But I still look up to him, and my mom teach me a lot of things I don't know, said Hart, smiling, looking up at the sky. Your mom is dead too? Said Dixie. No, just my dad. Hart looks up at the sky. But God got him, said Hart. I don't believe that, said Dixie. In God? Said Malachi. Yeah, I don't. Because if God really was real, Dad would still be here, said Dixie. The only thing I believe in is life, and what happens after life. I don't know, said Dixie. Father's spirit circles around me, said Dixie. It's almost like I can feel him. But God, I can't feel, said Dixie. I sometimes feel my dad's spirit too, said Hart, smiling. Dixie looks at her bracelet on her arm. She shows it to Hart. It says my second princess, said Dixie. I have one too, said Hart. Really? What does yours say? Dixie holds up Hart's arm and looks. My first princess? Dixie said, confused. Yeah, Dad calls me princess a lot, said Hart. Me too, said Dixie. Well, Ashley asked we and our dads have something in common, said Hart. Yeah, they do. Dixie looks curious. My dad's favorite color was purple, said Dixie. So was mine, said Hart. When curious, did your dad had a brother? Said Hart. I don't know. But he did had a best friend, said Hart. Oh, said Dixie. Was his name Harlem? I hear his name sometimes, said Dixie. Think it was. I'm not sure, said Hart. Dixie looks at Hart, curious. Hart looks at Dixie, curious. This is getting a bit strange, said Malachi. Looking at both of them. Must have one more question to ask, said Dixie, as she makes Hart stop walking. What is your father's name? Said Dixie, as she looks Hart in the eye. Prince Hamilton, both Hart and Dixie said. Said Hart and Dixie. Does that mean we? Said Hart. Sisters? Dixie shouts and hugs Hart. I never knew I had a sister, said Hart. I always wanted a sister, said Dixie. Hart hugs Dixie. That's called a half-sister, said Malachi. No such thing. High top, said Dixie. Dixie still hugs Hart. Well, we wasn't born on the same day. But we can still be twins, said Dixie. Yeah, that works. Sister. Hart continues to hug Dixie. I don't know what to say. Dixie smiles and looks at Hart. Well, this is awkward, said Malachi. A lot of girls go up to Malachi. Hi, look at his hair, shouted a girl. Can I touch it? Said another. Yeah, of course, you can, said Malachi. The girls touch Malachi's hair. Malachi smiles at Dixie. Dixie rolls her eyes at Malachi and still hugs Hart. What's your last name? Said Dixie. It's Valentine. That's so pretty, Hart. Valentine, said Dixie. Based off my mom's sister first name, said Hart. Oh, your mom's sister has a cute name, said Dix. Mine is Dixie Hamilton, said Dixie. Based off. Both are fathers, said Dixie, holding out her bracelet. Hart holds out hers. Atlee asked God I meant. Atlee asked he is around us, said Hart. You religious? I can tell, said Dixie. Yeah, from my mom, said Hart. That's cute, said Dixie. To kinda think of it, I never saw our dad practice religion, said Dixie. I don't think he was with it, said Hart. Makes sense why I'm the way I am, said Dixie, laughing. My mom don't really do the religion stuff, said Dixie. Maybe that's why I don't know much about this God thing, said Dixie. When I see people pray I laugh. Because it just looks funny. Didn't know what people was praying to, said Dixie. To God, said Hart. Oh, so that's when God comes in. It makes sense, said Dixie. And other things to like problems, help, mistakes, life, food, family and friends, pretty much anything, said Hart. Well, where was his help when my dad died, said Dixie. Where was he? Dixie shouted. He would still be here. God was a protection. Dixie shouted more. The night he got shot, where was God? Dixie said. God let him die, said Dixie. I thought he had cancer, Hart said to herself. For cancer? Dixie looks at Hart. Yeah, my mom explained it to me, said Hart. He never told me that, said Dixie. So he had cancer, and then got shot and died, both of them said at the same time. Dixie cries. Hart runs up to her and hugs her. Dixie looks down at Hart. She hugs her. It's not our fault, said Hart. It's God's, said Dixie. No, not him, said Hart. He could only do what he could. The longer he would have stayed, he would suffer more. The heavenly place forgives our mistakes and takes us for who we are. That's what my mom told me the night he died. I questioned God to that night, but I made a mistake and asked him for forgiveness. And now I found my sister. Hart smiles and looks at Dixie. Dixie hugs Hart. I love you, sister, said Dixie. I love you too, sister, said Hart. The bell rings. Dixie and Hart looks at each other. They grab each other hand and run to class. Sorry ladies, maybe another time, said Malachi, chasing up with Dixie and Hart. Why I always get left behind? Malachi tries to catch up with them. Wait up, Lucas and Liam runs to Hart. Malachi looks at Lucas and Liam. Didn't know you was friends with Dixie, Hart, said Lucas and Liam. Oh great, you three are friends, said Malachi. Meanwhile, at the Soul hair shop. You look stunning. Soul turns the chair around for Sweetie. You hook me up real good, said Sweetie. You look great, sister, said Lance. Sweetie laughs. Ignore him, said Harlem.